Let me take you from the holiest room in the house to allegedly the most depressing, or one of the most depressing rooms, which, by the way, I have no idea how got created, but somehow I used to play, like I played the piano for 7 years when I was a child, and it was in this room where I practiced. So, my piano teacher always told us never put anything on the instrument because it's not good for the instrument. The instrument has its soul. You have to respect it. So basically, someone moved into this room. I have no idea who it must have been, and took over even the instrument, which is my friend, like one of so let's see what I remember, because when you play the piano for 6-7 years, you acquire basic skill set of music making, which you can improvise with on your specific owned instrument. And so I remember I used to record improvisations of mine as a child, like as a 14 or 15-year-old, and I would delete those every time because I wasn't satisfied with them enough. But at the same time, I remember how much my mother made everything impossible. Like, she did everything in her power to rip me of my self-esteem so that I wouldn't put myself out there, so that I would delete everything on social media, so that I would get myself off of platforms that would have allowed me to gain publicity and just a little bit of confidence in my craft. So because I deleted all of those, I cannot prove to you that I am capable of delivering value and relief through beauty. But I, maybe remember half of a song that I presented in a performance, like during a performance, which we used to have every year, once or twice a year. And as such, I gained a pretty good, sense of performance, like a pretty good sense of, public presentation. I don't know if that makes sense. Excuse my French, but let's see what I remember. Okay? And when you own an instrument, even if it's just your voice or any instrument that produces sound, it's literally like it becomes your body, it becomes one of your limbs, it becomes part of your body. So whatever you feel, you can pour into that limb, so to speak, and you can express yourself through that. Which is why when someone stops a hobby, for example, they can feel so void, like such a void that all of a sudden they need to fill the void with a new good addiction. And there are no words for there are no words that could express my love for playing the piano, because honestly it was one of those things that were so sophisticated that I even couldn't sing with, I had a child's voice. I couldn't sing. I looked like a child. I couldn't, put myself on social media, but I could play the piano. And it meant something. It meant something to me and to the listener, because music is a universal language. It is made up of vibrations the same way that your style is, the way you take care of yourself, the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, what words you use, what you read, and how you read it. It is written in the Bible that when one part of a system gets affected in any certain way, the whole system is impacted, which is why as long as there is a connection, you cannot hurt someone without hurting yourself. You cannot help someone without helping God or yourself. You are God's child, but your children are not an extension of you. Your children, even if they are angelic, they do not work for you. They work for God. And yet, when you hurt your children, you hurt yourself. Because there is a connection. And I don't know how I got here, but I remember that most of the pieces that I played with music, and most of the pieces that I performed the best during my performances, which, by the way, my parents saw every time, had been extremely depressive. Like, they weren't like happy songs at all. If they were, though, they weren't like, chill, happy songs. They were like extremely, high energy, almost like aggressively playful. You know what I mean? So I was between these extremes. I was really good at extremes, but I was never, focusing much of my energy on learning pieces that would, not take someone to a depth where no one usually goes. And I am the type of person who will go where nobody goes. I'm not saying I will do things you do not have to do, so you do not have to do them. But I will say I will go to places where you will never sit. And I have gone there. And I will think things that you will never dare to think. And I will express them through my words. Because I no longer play the piano. But I have been writing for, before, or maybe from around the time that I started playing an instrument. So I must say, I'm pretty sure I'm better at writing than playing the piano. But let's see how I can play the piano. Let's see if I even remember anything, because if not, I'm pretty sure I don't, though. It's at least embarrassing enough that you do not have to feel left out, because I'm just here to show you the room, and that's about it. At least I had my own room to write in. Whatever. Let's see. Oh, I remember when I used to learn to drive, you have pedals that you have to press on to, brakes and gas pedal, but you also have pedals in here with the piano. The right pedal, which in car driving is the gas pedal, is actually without and with and without, a little bit easy to memorize by comparing it to the gas pedal, because it kind of extends the note, whereas the other one is a bit like a softening device, so to speak. So it's almost like a brake, It's easy to remember. And then you have one in the middle, which is the most extreme muting thing. Let's see. If you're self-conscious, I recommend you do the middle one. Although this is not professional advice. No. Okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Excuse me, this one. That's all I remember. Have I lost your trust already? Wonderful. No. I feel self-conscious now. I haven't played this thing in 5 years. I always looked at this as an outlet, you know, not as a performance tool, which is why I was good at it. So basically, something is not good unless you go all in. If you half-fuss it like I am doing with the piano right now, you're not gonna do it well. Which is why I recommend Mom, who seems to respect this area very much. If she sees this video, to kind of just respect herself a little bit more. But you know, we make choices. She used to have children, 3 of them, and I was the last one. And I also happened to be the last one for a very good reason. So, you know, I may forgive her after being able to play the piano like that.